Hello, everyone. Welcome to this trade management mini session on charting, specifically customizing charts on the Thinkorswim platform. When I'm teaching webcasts, I get asked frequently how to customize a chart to look similar to how my charts look. So I thought I'd pop on and take a few minutes to go through some of the basics. My name is Barbara Armstrong. I'm a coach with Schwab. I invite you to follow me on X if you aren't doing so already, my handle at BarbArmstrongCS. And just before we get to the charts, I just want to remind everyone that we'll be using the Thinkorswim desktop platform, the paper money software application for our examples today. And I also want to remind you that any stock that we look at or customization that we make is just a suggestion, not a recommendation. And the charts are just used for example purposes only. Okay, let's pull up a chart on Thinkorswim. And so when you first log into Thinkorswim, your chart will likely look black. And I have changed mine, and you can do that by coming up here to the Setup tab and then coming to Application Settings, and you want to come to Look and Feel. And I have made my color scheme light, but you are welcome to make it dark. I find dark kind of intense when I'm looking at it all day. I find white a little bright, but I make it light. I've also made the font size larger because I am teaching, and you may find that larger or smaller, you can play with different settings there as well, but come to Look and Feel. And so I've got this chart, and one of the things you may notice is that it has these lines. And it's got a line for when the year ends, and I really just find those to be a distraction, so I don't want them on my chart. So I've come over to time axis and the rollover lines, expiration Friday and year marking line. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to hit apply and OK and make those disappear. The other thing I do on that time axis is I've added an expansion area because the default is 0. And when you see this default at 0, it comes kind of right up to the edge. And I like there to be a little bit of space so that I can draw lines and put notes there. And so I have made my default to be 20 bars to the right. And again, that's just personal preference, but you'll see why in a minute. So why might I do that? Well, let's say I've placed a trade on AU and I've got a target of 115. So if I draw a line, I then have a space. If I right click on this line, and I have customized my line, and that's something else I get asked often. So I've made it a dotted line. I've made my line blue. You can make it whatever color you want. And I've made it a little thicker. And then I can come in here and adjust this. And then I want to show the price on the right. And I've made all of these things a default. And so now we'll see that this line looks like this. Here's my target. Now, if I want to include target, I'm going to right click on the line to edit it. And then I can, where it says price level, I can type in target and say show that on the right and OK, and then my target will show up on the chart. Now, one of the things that I like to see is some studies on my chart. I like a simple moving average, and you might want to see relative strength, or you might want to see a MACD on your chart, and we can add those by coming to studies and edit studies, and then just by coming over here to this bar, I'm going to type in simple moving average. And if I wanted, say, a 30-day moving average, I can just add that. Now the default is 9. Well, if I want mine to be 30, I just come in here. I'm going to change that to 30. I like my 30-day moving average to be red. Don't ask me why. It's just, I think the first coach whose webcasts I watched, their 30-day moving average was red, so I just made mine the same. Hit OK. And then let's say we want to add a MACD. I'm going to type in MACD, add the histogram. We're going to add that. And then let's say we want to have a relative strength indicator. We can type in RSI for relative strength and add that. Hit apply and OK. And bada bing, bada boom, we've got a moving average on our charts now. We've got a MACD histogram and relative strength. Now, the other thing that I like to do with my charts, I like the volume bars to reflect whether it was an up or down day. I also like to use candle trend. And why is that? Well, if we look at a stock like Lyft, we had Lyft gap up and then it pulled back during the day, and this is showing as a bearish candle even though it went up dramatically that day. So I kind of like my charts, if it was an up day, to be a green candle. So if I make it candle trend, this candle becomes green, and that's just a personal preference. I can also then come down here and say I want my volume bars to match whether it was an up or down day. Here I can also customize background. So if you come to my classes, you may notice that, you know, I've made it pink. You can make it any color you like. Now, what some traders will do is if they practice in paper money and then go in and trade in a live account, they'll have their live account chart a different color than their paper money account. And that I would highly recommend because it's just kind of a check. So that hopefully you don't make a mistake. So now you see when we come back to the chart and we look at this candle, it is now green. Now it's dark green, which means it opened higher and closed lower, but it still closed above the candle for the previous day. Now, there's one other thing that I'm asked about a lot, and I tend to have a script that gives me results for a particular stock, month to date, year to date, and it shows price earnings ratio and that kind of thing. So if I want to add a script, I can come to open shared item. So I'm coming up to the setup, open shared item, and that script is LJYKF lowercase c3, and this is case sensitive. I'm going to hit preview, year to date, month to date, week to date. I'm going to import that. Now it says I already have that. Do you want to overwrite it? I'm just going to say yes. So now that it's in here, where do I find it? Well, I'm going to come back to that study tab and edit studies, and I'm going to start typing in that year to date, and here it is, and you can see it looks like a little script. I'm going to add that. So now that's showing up. Hit apply and OK. Now, scripts aren't necessarily recommended for use. There's not a guarantee as to accuracy, but some people find these handy. So we can see year to date, Lyft, not having a good year. Excuse me. Oh, and it looks like my thing didn't hold here. So I'm going to come back to my time axis. Oh, I must have zoned in. So now I've got this chart on the side. So we can see that so far this stock has been pulling back this year, but we might look at another stock and, you know, see that it's up dramatically, but it's just kind of a quick reference tool. So those are some quick tips on customizing a Thinkorswim chart. I hope you have found them helpful. Take care, everyone. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in a webcast coming up soon.